one of the reasons that holidays can be so hard is maybe we don't have an incredible relationship with our family. Maybe we don't. Maybe holidays remind us of that. Maybe it's our first time single during the holidays. So both of those things, right, can be incredibly triggering, triggering of grief, triggering of anger, triggering of all the things. And so, maybe it's your in-laws. Maybe you have to be around them. Maybe, it could be so many aspects that actually make holidays hard. And then when holidays are hard for us, but the world is invested in them, it's all happening, we feel like we can't not be happy about it. And look at the movies we have about this, like Scrooge. Scrooge, eventually turns around, but look at how we don't be a Scrooge, don't be a blah, 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 blah. Don't be a Debbie Downer, which if your name's Debbie, that sucks. Just like the Karen thing, right? That's not fun. So my love goes out to all Debbies and Karens right now. So I think what's interesting, though, is that as you sort of sit with the pain that occurs because of maybe you just lost a family member, maybe it reminds you of that. And so as we actually think about these things, how can we hold space for all of the experiences? Like perhaps holidays this year are just not your bag. Maybe you need to have boundaries around them. Maybe that is it. And we'll talk a bit about boundaries as we continue this conversation. But what I want you to be mindful of is not saying you can't be any of those things, like ignoring your actual feelings, ignoring what is actually coming up for you in light of the holidays. That's called bypassing, right? And that's minimizing our own feelings. That minimizes our feelings. And this is about being present to all of them and saying, hey, you all get to sit at the table here. What do you have to say? What do you need from me? What would a lighter holiday season be? Now, when you think about also, let's add some complexity and simplicity to this, which is the lockdowns, right? For a lot of people, including myself, we won't be able to spend the holidays with our families. And so there's that too. So let me just deconstruct the first part. If you come from a family that you don't actually celebrate holidays with, the recognition that, one, the grief that's associated with that, the family I should have had, the holidays I should be having, the experiences I should have had. Now, all of this informs us in a way because it teaches us what we actually want. And I just did a podcast episode with Francis Weller, who's just incredible. And in it, he said this really beautiful thing that the majority of us experience this desire of searching for something that we didn't get, right? We're searching to be chosen. We're searching for home. We're searching for a feeling of being welcomed, being loved, of unconditional love. And he said, but in the movement, and I'm using different words than he did exactly, but that in the transition that occurs from being the child or the adolescent who is in pain and suffering from not getting that thing, we are informed about what that would look like by not getting it. So whenever I don't get what I want, it informs what I want. And this is not to minimize the experience of not getting what you want, but rather to say because we don't get it, we actually recognize what we should have had or would have liked to have had. And so there's this transition that goes from the searching of to the becoming of. So instead of searching for home, I become home. And I become the place that welcomes people. I become the actual adult. I mature and I become an adult because I become the community. So if you feel like you've been exiled from your community, then it's about creating community that actually doesn't exile, And so when we think about, let's now look at the second part, which is, to complete that first part, which is if this is about creating the family and holidays you want if you didn't get them. So double down on that. Double down on actually investing in what you want to create to define holidays for yourself, to become a space for other people who also didn't get that. You actually can create that and provide it for other people. What a beautiful thing. So a lot of you express like certain conversations are not okay, certain condescension, opinions that you didn't ask for. So you have to set boundaries around all those things to say, hey, look, when you make comments about my body, it actually hurts my feelings a lot. Or when I really appreciate your opinion. And what I'd like in the future is to just be able to ask for it. When you give it to me when I don't ask for it, you're actually providing information I don't need. And you could say to them like, look, and you're going to get reactivity likely to a lot of these because you're shifting the family system when you set a boundary. You're shifting it. And so whenever you shift the way you operate in a system, the system has to shift. So remember that, right? Because when you communicate a boundary and they say, you know what, you're just being this, right? You could say, actually, no, that's my need. That's my need in order to have a loving and respectful relationship with you, which I will provide and agree to with you. I need you to not speak to me that way. And if you do, I'm going to get up from this table and I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave the house and I'm not coming back. But if you're willing to engage in these conversations in a way that works for me, then I'm all for it. So this, right? It is a skill. It's a skill set.